Alright, so now we're here in Game 3 in the Play All 3 series between 3D Clan and KQP. So we've got Kosas Pasan here consisting of Vortex on the blue trunks, on Delhi with Lucifron in the yellow trunks, on the French, well 3D Clan at the top side, red trunks on Rus, and you've got 3DB here in the orange trunks on the French. So scores are locked up at 1-1, with 3D Clan actually taking the first game in the series. But unfortunately I couldn't spectate it because everyone with an open match history out of these guys has played another 10 games since. And it's Goldski. Even though it's only a 3-day-old recording, and you can pull up results of matches from patches 6 months ago, as long as it was in the last 10 games, that patch. So I think that's awfully stupid. Need to go back to the drawing board and redesign this recording system because it's a little bit dumb. Enough whinging about that. Dry Arabia here. The original and the best. Fairly even resource distribution, a little bit clustered towards the center, particularly in the golds and the stones. But there's a fair bit of berries, a little bit of gold and stone around the players' bases, some corner trading posts, and central sacred sites, mostly centralized relics as well. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So an extra 2 relics over a normal 1 versus 1 game. Kind of cool if there was 9 or 11 though, I think. Just because it means that players can get pretty much the same amount they would in a regular 1 versus 1 game. But I suppose in team games it's easier for them to devolve into sitting back behind 10 walls and having 4 markets pumping out caravans. So it might not actually be the best of changes, considering relics in this game are 3 1/3 times as strong as relics in AoE 2. So Delhi plays smashing out every upgrade he can. Probably end up having to briefly cancel Piety to take Sanctity, but the beauty of that is he keeps any production progress, even when he cancels upgrades. Even if he goes to then restart it at another building as the Delhi, so as the Delhi Sultanate, so really handy mechanic that one to take advantage of. Going for Tower of Victory, so this is going to mean more aggression from Vortex, because usually they just go for the Mosque landmark for H2, and they can pump out extra cheap, are they scholars? Scholars. Just to try and get on all these sacred sites, and then once they go Age 3, they've got the ability to just fan them out across the map and take as many relics as possible, while it's still difficult for everyone else to, you know, keep tabs on 5 to 7 parts of the map, as well as on the opponent's base, and their own. Sifron, sorry, B, this game, he's the Knight Civ player. Go for that School of Cav. Anatan getting a Kremlin there. Sifron also going for a School of Cav. So picking another Knight Civ this game. Players all hitting Feudal Age now. So B, Lucifron be looking to push with Knights. Maybe add Archers behind it. Got all these upgrades that Vortex is queued up, and oh no, he's gonna finish Piety and then go Sanctity. Oh no, he did cancel Piety in order to finish Sanctity first. But this way he's got nearly 2/3 of the upgrade already finished, so it kicks in a lot quicker. rather than having all that dead time of no production, because it costs the Delhi player nothing other than time itself. So the Knights meeting in the middle of the map basically, because B looking to try and push Lucifron rather than push Vortex here. So B's actually taken both wheelbarrow and survival techniques to get that improved deer gathering, as well as in general gather speed. B trying to fight the villagers there, but they're actually brave enough to fight back because Lucifron has taken textiles. It's called Loom in every other game in the series except this one. And AoE 3? Actually, does AOM even have an upgrade like Loom? I don't know, I can't remember now. Yeah, in AoE and AoE 2 it's definitely called Loom. AoE 3, the Civ varies from Civ region to Civ region, what the health upgrade for villagers is called. And it's the little things that matter, you know, it just suddenly makes the game so much more asymmetrical when things are identical upgrades but have a different name. Nah, just kidding, usually they are accompanied by different stat boosts. B having to back off. Anatand also going for Knights, so the only person here who doesn't have access to Knights is Vortex, so he's going to have to play very smart with his Spearman. While Lucifron is going to have to try and take some really nice fights here. But the beauty of being French is he's got healing. So does B. While Anatand, any health he loses on these Knights is gone until he's age 3. Whereas our, at French picks, they can obviously just go for Chivalry. But it does actually take 300 resources versus the 240 of a Knight, and it takes a lot longer to train, 1 minute versus 29 seconds for each Knight. And I believe that's actually longer out of any other building because... but then so is Knight production, because they're normally 35-second train time. Might be a really nice fight here for Lucifron in the long run. Getting that Knight of B's really low. But Anatand's starting to mass up some archers as well, because Vortex will be looking to join the fight with spears, because he doesn't have access to the Knights. So especially if Vortex is forced to make horsemen on top of all this, quite hard, because it'll slow down his castle age, but it'll also start to need a better heavy armor counter than just spearmen. Lucifron and Vortex just backing off, but still trying to make sure they can get this sacred site. So that scholar is being run down right now. Anatand overextending before he actually takes the fight there, trying to get on top of those spears, losing a couple of archers in the process. Lucifron, a really nice Knight mass for him, but B bringing everything together, and he's got an equally solid Knight mass there. In fact, I think he might have a little bit more health overall on his front line, and with the militia here for Anatand, 3D clans seemingly got all the momentum at the moment. But bearing in mind that spear count for Vortex outnumbers the militia, and they will eventually just die out. So Vortex able to get a bit of damage off on that front line there, killing one of the scouts. Now Vortex is going to try and focus down these archers who've overstayed their welcome a little bit. B pulling back. That sacred site has been denied. This top sacred, it's been captured, so it's going to trickle gold to Vortex just like a relic would. But at the same time, it's not actually walled off yet. B playing quite expansively to get on top of that hunt, because that increased food gain out of it really makes it worth taking over the berries. But he's going to eventually have to transition to berries anyway. And unlike Lucifron, who might opt to go... I was going to say, he might opt to avoid berries because Vortex gathers faster and gets more food out of them. But I've got to eat my words here, he's just gone straight on the berries. The beauty is he's nice and safe at home here. Doesn't really have to muck around dragging back all these villagers because they're cut off over here or over here and they're at risk of just being absolutely run down by these knights. Lucifron's made a fuckload of scouts here. Has he been fat fingering this, or is this deliberate because it sort of helps just bulk out the army and tank archer fire? Because I mean, now that the knights have got a health regen anyway, I mean the big thing about scouts is health regen. Oh, I suppose he's going to try and steal the deer. That's very smart, but it looks like it's not panning out well for him because when the scouts have the deer on the back, they're actually slower, so he's had to actually drop all the deer he was going to pinch. And he's lost one of his scouts. He'd gone for 7 scouts to try and get every single deer back home. Play quite safely with that, but B able to punish it. Also got this tower over here, so these guys should be safe against this unit ball because it's only light armored infantry. But at the same time, a couple of villages are going to be under threat here because I'm not going to be able to outrun those archers at first. Now B going to raid Vortex, try and force a lot of garrison time, cut down on that eco, and maybe even pick off a couple of villages here. Seems that Lucifron will be a little bit slow to join in here, but now everything's over here, and Vortex just having to find another opportunity here. But these gold gatherers are all under threat. There's a lot of them on that gold mine. So if Vortex manages to hit this, this could be a pretty crucial turning point here. Because at the moment, looks like Anatan's going to clear out the top sacred. These guys probably have the units actually clear through the walls here and deny both sacreds. Because realistically, it's the same as all the villagers having to gather there, garrison there. Doesn't actually look like B's lost any. It's a good reaction, good awareness from him. Here we go, Anatan now gonna finally get on top of that sacred site. No walls on it, so could have been there a little bit earlier, I think. There's too few spears actually to hold off this many knights. But in saying that, you still want to minimize the amount of damage, particularly the Rus player would be tanking on them. But I mean the French player as well doesn't want to have all the damage put on one knight as such, because it's going to take longer for him to regenerate. If you take the damage across 3 knights, you've got a third as much health and a third as much time to actually worry about regenerating there. So Vortex getting the last couple of villages and able to hit Castle Age now, so he's gone. Well, Compound of the Defender, Sea of the D. Are any of these upgrades really all that useful? I suppose that's a fortress upgrade, so getting a keep upgrade, so getting to take that here is probably pretty useful. What architects, I suppose. Village fortresses, fire armor. Oh, that's pretty useful. They just seem a little bit niche, the upgrades. Considering, you know, you've still got to make a keep or towers to really reap the benefit of them. And Delhi isn't a civ that particularly screams, oh, I'm a fort, I'm a keep and towers civ. They're not quite like Mongols or Rus or Malians, where building towers is pretty much baked into the civ. And it's funny that Mongols, they're supposed to be a real raiding and hit and run civ, but honestly, they're a Civ that opens with Tower Rush every game, then plays the most generic fast castle behind it. So I don't think the Civ actually really plays out how it was sort of conceptually designed as originally. Big engagement going on here because the and Lucifron now charging with the Knights. And Anatan seems to have the bigger range ball here, but Delhi is a wonderful Civ at producing stuff really, really quick. Now, Vortex is going to have access to Lancers as well. So Anatan will be the one player stuck on making light units here. Considering our French players both already have those Knights, and the Lancers are really going to have an advantage until all the other players start hitting age 3, because they're going to be slightly tankier, they're going to hit slightly harder. So Anatan able to destroy Vortex's light army, but again now with Knight production and the fact that they've got the upgrade advantage, it means Team 3D is going to have to back up a little bit and try and get Castle Age themselves here. Haven't been able to deny that sacred site either, so Vortex is going to be trickling a little bit of extra gold through that. It's a great number of Knights here for B in particular. But this is going to slow down his ability to get to Castle Age, and he's going to want to soon. Both our French players obviously having access to Blue Marie already, the age to melee damage upgrade, and just trying to get the rest of their upgrades. And they've also got, as soon as Castle Age kicks in, they'll get their second melee damage upgrade. The Siphron, this scout's just parked out here in the middle of nowhere. He's been able to bring back a lot of deer though, so it's been very beneficial for him. Hasn't had to expand out the map making any more mills, but I mean with French it's not as much of an investment because your mill's half price, but at the same time having anywhere from 4 to 15 villages caught out in the middle of nowhere, they're just easy pickings for a unit like the Knight. B ultimately having to chase the Siphron away there. He should be able to finish off that last Knight. So no Castle Age on the way yet. Anyone other than Vortex, who's been on it for a little while. It's a nice little raid here for B because the Siphron's not able to wall this all off, and he's unaware that this has been cut through, I don't think. Either that or he's just more concerned with defending this gold mine, because that is also mission critical for him. Considering he's got over 20 workers there. But his Knights are full health, whereas B's here are all just about all low health, so he's going to kill a couple, take his Royal Institute so he can get that nice Knight health upgrade. And Vortex able to grab a relic in the sacred site there. This other sacred site is going to fall once again. The Siphron having lost a number of villages there, so the Vortex is now clean things up. He'll be able to get back on that boar. But even still, losing all those villages is a bit painful for Vortex. I mean, the Siphron, considering he's only on one town center, even though he's French, and he does have that nice 16-second trade time, formerly 18-second in age 2 and 19 in age 1, I believe, versus your normal rate of 20. And Atan should be able to deny this relic acquisition here. So Anatan also going to Castle Age. And he's opted for Abbey of the Trinity, no doubt. Beauty of this, these warrior monks actually can attack, and then on top of that, as they're attacking, units around them get buffed. Vortex picking off a couple of B's Knights here. B shuffling everything back together. And he could be able to pick off a couple of the knights in return. Bearing in mind, he's still only got Royal Knights. No veteran upgrade yet for them, so they are going to be a little bit weaker than veteran Royal Knights and Lancers. Early Knights here as well for Anatan, so also unupgraded Knights. Vortex now is just going to spam a lot of keeps in the center of the map. So take back what I said about not thinking of Delhi as a keeps civ. And I suppose this means you can actually get village fortresses too. Although he didn't actually bother queuing anything out of Compound of the Defender. Anatan going for veteran archers here, which is a bit of an odd pick considering they don't fight all that cost effectively against the knights. Crossbows obviously do. Be actually sending some villagers here as well. I don't know what he's playing at right now. What's this fool up to? Vortex an attempt to raid here over on that gold mine, but he's driven back. And his hand doing well to try and wall his opponents out, but Vortex has found a gap here somewhere, so he's going to delete a couple of villages. The Siphron keeping the opponents busy here in the center of the map, so 3D Clan going to have to now go back to the drawing board and come up with something to take out these keeps, considering 2 out of 3 sacred sites have now got a keep on them. This knight has its veteran upgrade now, but it's going to have to retreat. Also up to 310 health now, thanks to the French unique tech. The knight health there. The Lance is only at 230 health, so it is a rough trade for them. There's not really any bonuses for these Lancers for Vortex. Whereas even Bees Knights, sorry not Bees Knights, even the Knights of Anatan, I think they get bonus damage. Another Scholar's Knight there. Anatan actually just massing up range here, mostly crossbows with a couple of archers here in the mix as well. Doesn't look like he's actually bothering with Knights. And yeah, Knight Sabers is the upgrade for extra damage that Rus gets over the regular Knight or Lancer unit. Oh, I can't remember the name of the French tech. That gives him so much health. But it's good tech. Especially if you get Royal Institute, it's cheaper. And you can follow it up with some other nice techs that are normally only supposed to be Imperial Age. So the archer's really just tanking for the crossbows. Is that all that you really get them for here? Because they just seem like a bit of a dead weight, really. And I know they slightly outrange the crossbows, but they just deal so much less damage to the knights. Or well, just to heavy armor units in general. Not going to be able to take out the keep, but it looks like, oh, Anatan not quite able to get the relic out of there. So some good focus there from Vortex to snipe it. Things looking very well walled off now, though. Single warrior monk actually working away at the scholar there. But at this rate, he's probably going to end up walled in. Well, Vortex actually bringing another scholar forward. Oh, because he's got a forward mosque. So even though he's going to be putting a couple of relics at risk by having them out in that exterior mosque, it does also mean the scholars can join the fight as soon as possible and actually heal up any unit that doesn't have innate healing, so that would include these lances of his, unlike the French knights. He's not able to repair that mangonel in time either. So the Siphon and Vortex pulling back. They do have another mangonel here, courtesy of Vortex, and it does land a nice shot on Anatan's range ball there. I do like these 4-map walls these players have got though, because it does mean they should, in theory, have an easy time of setting up for 4-map trade, which they will eventually have to. I mean, particularly because Delhi having control of all these sacred sites is probably not as much of a necessity. And bearing in mind, with all 3 sacred sites held, Vortex does have a win condition on the card within the next 10 minutes. But yeah, eventually, you know, people aren't going to want to just survive off relic gold with 3 relics on one side of the map and three or 4 on the other. So this one over here still hasn't been taken. Anatan just deleting the wall just to give himself and B the best opportunity at a full surround here, because it looks like B has actually got a real advantage in the knight count, and Anatan also has a lot of those militia in the mix. Looks can be deceiving here. Enough lancers and knights for KQP. It's a nice pick off there to get that mangonel. Very expensive unit, and they are quite slow. So 600 resources compared to like 240 for your knights and 120 for your crossbows. Anatan trying to focus down the mining camp, which is a funny choice. He could be picking off individual villages, I suppose. And the mining camp is going to be quite cheap for Luciferon in particular. Now he notices, and nearly able to kill that warrior monk. Now, Anatan taking the villagers for a bit of a ride now. Anatan could have kept going there. It would have been funny to see how far he could pull those vills off Luciferon's bloody stone mine there. That's a lot of denied gathering then. Basically 13 villages are out of action while that was going on for Luciferon. Vortex actually struggling the most in terms of overall score. Though I guess part of that's down to the fact that his army value per population a little bit lower than these guys that are massing up knights and crossbows. A lot of trebuchets here for Anatan, so these are going to be quite expensive. They are a little bit cheaper than mangonels. I thought they were actually more expensive. That surprises me. So B trying to siege his way through this double layer of walls. He should be able to get through, but not before Luciferon is ready to defend here. So when in doubt, make walls. When in doubt of that, make 2 sets of walls. Looks like B is trying to just bust through the walls here and force Luciferon into some uncomfortable rushed fights. Vortex adding another keep. He's already up to 4 out in the center of the map. This first keep, he's got so many villagers repairing it. Only on the 1 town center. In fact, I think everyone's only on 1 town center here. No one's going for a particularly insane, outlandish boom over the other players. Sifron going to add a keep as well. Just trying to maintain control of these sacred sites. And another keep here for Vortex. So it's really only this one that hasn't got multiple keeps on it at the moment. But with 4 trebuchets, it's going to take a lot of repairing to keep this going. Team 3D not wanting to overextend either. They're just getting close enough to try and zone Lucifron and Vortex. They have to get a number of Springles here so they can focus down the trebuchets. They're still outranged by trebuchets, but if they do get close, they will just bop them. It looks as though Vortex could repair this keep and get it through this. Ah, no. He's going to launch... Anatan's going to launch one more hit just to take it out. Now we've got multiple keeps on every sacred site, so 2 minutes off a sacred victory here. We've got 10 minutes worth of gameplay left, so must be something about to go down here. We've got 4 trebuchets still, while the keep is still building. It's going to lose a lot of health before it's actually finished. And these repairers are going to have to get out of there. The Sifron fighting on not the greatest of chokes here. Like, he's not able to really get a full melee around. Neither's B, but bearing in mind, Anatan is giving him a great backline here. Saying that Vortex does have his own spears over here supporting the Sifron. But it looks as though 3D should be safe to take back the position here. Okay, Anatan also going to go for a forward keep. And these trebs of his, pretty safe to just keep chomping away at the keeps. Single crossbow here, working away at the stone gather, so very smart for Anatan. He probably only needs to bring maybe another 1 or 2 with it, and he can really chip away at that stone eco. Well, he's just going to keep them moving. Don't think Vortex had actually noticed and decided to respond at all yet. Oh, here we go. Lucifron's actually rotated up to this way. Possibly pressure B, who's left a big gap here. Saying that sacred win condition is no more. Looks like Team 3D are actually going to be able to maintain control of that sacred site themselves. Knight's just getting evaporated. The force of 1,000 suns from those crossbows. School of cavalry being focused down by B. It's annoying. I mean, it's just like a regular stables, but it does train faster, so B trying to actually go for the killing blow here, take out the main town center. But while this is going on, Lucifron is also raiding the economy of B, and on the eco of Anatan's exposed as well. Vortex also going for some forward keeps, trying to get some of this mid-map wood, because there's not a huge amount of wood on the map ultimately, especially once you get this far into the game, into the pointy end. Sifron's eco taking a bit of a beating, but those Bs at the moment. So the 2 French players just doing a bit of a eco trade with one another. And it's actually going to be able to push forward with an awful lot of siege here. Sifron's struggling a little bit for food. I mean, yeah, for food. But he's got plenty of gold. It looks like a lot of the siege for Anatan has been picked off by Springolds, by Vortex here. He's also got a Mangonel in the mix, so it should be very effective against that massive ball of ranged units. But when he's got a retreat like this, it could be very tough for him because it is just going to get sniped once it falls to the front of the army. Be able to clean up a lot of these workers of Vortexes. He might have overplayed his hand by trying to get on this wood so early. I mean, I know the idea is to really limit the amount of wood your opponents have got, force them to have to build up towards you, but perhaps a little bit too bold there. And it's squeezing in some rams as well to be able to take out some of these structures a little bit faster. Siffron still with knights in the base of B at the moment. But B is well ahead of everyone on score for the time being. Keep being focused down there. Might take a little while to finish it off without any dedicated siege to attack it. B losing a lot of eco up at the top here too. He needs to evacuate these guys because he's lost 16 workers with these 4 knights attacking them. He is trying to raid Lucifron as well in the meantime, but Lucifron's straight away aware that his village is under threat before they're even being attacked there, so very, very good awareness from him. Oh, I suppose there's the houses over there, so he probably had the heads up already. But B, now doing a bit of a shocking job at protecting his food eco here. His farms are so spaced too. Meanwhile, he's just trying to raid Lucifron and back up Anatan and trying to take out some of these keeps. But it's at a huge cost to his eco now. And he's gone from being over 1,000 score ahead of Lucifron to only being about 700. Well, Vortex is actually ahead of Anatan in score now. Needs to be careful that he's not overcommitting too much to all this pushing. Maybe even think about trying to sneak some more through the base of KQP at the moment. But Lucifron's done a better job at tucking away all the mills next to each other as close as he can and behind some static defense. Things finally being cleaned up, but not before 4 mills are cleaned out, so that's about 30 villages there. And Lucifron hitting Imperial Age now as well, because as much as B has been real havoc for his gold gatherers here, he hasn't really picked off 30 villages worth of value. And Red Palace here to defend the vills. Should be quite nice with their extra damage Arbalist defenders. So it's sort of like a high-powered archer attack. Siffron really just massing up the knights to support Vortex's mostly spear army here. Well, high armory coming out here for Anatan. He can go for multiple siege workshops and a keep, and this way he'll have really cost-effective mangonel and springald production, but he's having to cancel things. He might have overplayed his hand a little bit. He's having to go for Spaskia instead because of the extra weapon emplacements it's got. A bit like the Red Palace. It's a really nice high damage keep building. So our players trying to get the best concave they can with their melee front line. And this time, Vortex has a bunch of crossbows in the mix as well. Anatan hitting Imp now. Only ahead of B in terms of score. Which is not very good for Team 3D because now that the two cellar dwellers on the scoreboard. Attempts at a forward keep here from B. He and Anatan probably needed to get these keeps up a little bit earlier before Anatan tried to go for these workshops. Because now the Siphon able to just keep streaming forward with 1,000,000,001 knights at the moment. How many keeps, how many stables does this bugger have? The answer is an awful fucking lot. B tapping out there, Anatan tapping out, so KQP takes the series 2-1 over Team 3D.